One thing that I think about though, one of my favorite books by David Hawkins is Transcending the Levels of Consciousness, where he describes these different
Yeah.
levels of the map of consciousness, different levels of consciousness. And the lowest levels are those of apathy, guilt, shame. These are really low levels of each level of consciousness. There are certain feelings and emotions and like a worldview and a reality that you live in. And one thing that he describes is that when you're at those low levels, it's very difficult for you to get yourself out of those levels on your own. That oftentimes you do need a higher power that can allow you to move out of that to these higher levels. And then when you are in these higher levels of consciousness, it is much easier to use your will, and you have energy to kind of move up
Yeah.
to higher levels of consciousness. And it kind of also brings me to like the 12-step programs and things like that. Like oftentimes when people are at rock bottom in an addiction, and they just can't get themselves out of it on their own. And I think part of the challenge is where they think pridefully and egotistically that they can solve this on their own. Instead, it's when they surrender to that higher power, and that higher power could be God, the universe, it could be a group, it could be a person, something outside of yourself. When you accept and surrender to, through prayer, or again, like a sponsor or a coach or an event or whatever it is, whatever that higher power is, that's what can really help you pull yourself out of those low levels.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also a really powerful distinction if you are in those really low places. And I know for me at times, certain things that have helped me have been, sometimes it is like, watching videos on YouTube that spark something and brings me out of that really low state to something like, if you're consuming a more conscious piece of content from someone on the internet, and it kind of brings you out of that. And then when you can kind of be in that higher place. Or for me, it's been going to like an event, going to a seminar, going to like an immersive experience where you're just, bombarded and flooded with so much positivity that it brings you to a higher place. Or it is through God, through prayer, and just saying, God, I need you in my life, come into my life. I give this to you. I surrender this to you. And then that power, that spiritual power, can pull you out of that and get you into a better place.
Mm-hmm.
So I often think that that is a very useful distinction that I also realized as well. Because like what you described is like kind of like, you have that opportunity each day to like, what direction are you going to go? But if day after day, moment after moment, year after year, you've been choosing the direction of negative thought.
It's a thought pattern.
You're the spiral, like,
Yes.
like then
it's very difficult.
Now
Yes.
it's like very difficult to now make that different choice all of a sudden to the positive ones. And that's why I think sometimes that outside power and that force can pull you at least to the point where you can then make progress in that direction too.
Yeah, I 100% agree that if you're in that dark place, it's very hard to see the light. And to just, someone listening is there and they're just hearing like, well, think good feeling thoughts. They're like, bullshit. They don't like to hear that because they're in a place of suffering. And so the key, what you're describing when you listen to someone like David Hawkins and just listening to him pulls you up, it's because it's energy. You're feeling that energy, that higher conscious state. So if you're at, let's just say for sake of simplicity, that you're consciousness level 1 because you're in this really dark place, and someone is one step ahead of you, even though they're just one step ahead of you, and the level of consciousness rises indefinitely, that's going to pull you up. And then one step ahead, and that's going to pull you up. And that's how you can start to get yourself out of there. And it goes back to what I said at the very beginning, that, when you're feeling good, when you're in that place of feel good, more people are going to be attracted to you. And it's because of that conscious being, that when you feel good, you're really just in a high conscious state. You're in alignment with your source. You're in alignment with who you are. When you're not feeling good, there's a misalignment with who you are and who you think you are. And so that's why you're not feeling good. You don't feel like yourself. There's something that's off. And so, it goes back to that, the state. But yes, I agree that those are some helpful ways.